Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me all right? I'm going to assume you guys can hear me. And I think I'll get started. Cool. Welcome to another edition of Hype Talks. My name is Rosie Perper. I am the Hypebeast senior editor, and I am also the host of tonight's Hype Talks. So tonight we're going to be speaking with the founders and artists behind the community, also the host of tonight's Hype Talks. So tonight we're going to be speaking with the founders and artists behind the community-driven NFT program, NFT project Doodles, alongside gallery owner and NFT collector Todd Kramer. And we also have Jihan, who's the Doodle strategist, and he also refers to himself as a Web3 philosopher. For all of you, I'm sure many of you know about the Doodles project, but for those of you that don't, Doodles launched in October, and their pastel collection of 10,000 unique NFTs has gained a very passionate fan base. Currently, the project has a floor price of 11 ETH, or just over 35,000 US dollars on OpenSea. And recently, a Doodle NFT sold for 1.1 million US dollars. Cool thing about the Doodles project is that NFT holders can vote for experiences and activations and campaigns that benefit the Doodles community. And the roadmap for Doodles is a collaborative process and will be decided by Doodle holders. So now I'd like to pass the mic over to some of my panelists. I think it'd be great if you guys could just do a brief introduction about yourself and your connection to the project. I might start with Burnt Toast.
Hello, everybody. My connection to the project, I'm the artist behind Doodles. I'm a designer and muralist and animator outside of, from Toronto, Canada.
Awesome.
Rosie, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I'm Poopy, also known as Jordan. I'm a blockchain builder. I've been just building a bunch of different products, in Web3 for the last 4 to 5 years. Everything from CryptoKitties. I contributed to Top Shot, Cheese Wizards, and I left Dapper Labs to, start Doodles with Scott and Evan.
And would you like to be referred to as Poopy or Jordan?
Poopy's fine.
Yeah, this is going to be great to hear back later. Awesome. Evan, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Evan, also known as Tulip in the community. I'm also one of the co-founders of Doodles. Like Poopy or Jordan, used to work at Dapper Labs, NBA Top Shot, CryptoKitties. So we're kind of the graduating class of 2018, and run everything from marketing to branding to collaborations for the Doodles.
Awesome. Jeroni?
Hi, it's Jahan. Nice to meet you, Rosie. I go by Geronimo, and I am also a conceptual artist and designer. And for the last more than a decade, I've been focusing on public art. For Doodles, I am the global strategist, and happy to be here.
Awesome. And last but not least, Todd.
Hey, Rosie, how's it going? Thanks for having us. Hey, guys, I'm Todd. I own traditional art galleries and was fortunate enough to connect with the Doodle gang during NFT week here in New York. And since then, it's kind of been part of their journey as an advisor, helping out on some of the art side of things as it grows and merchandise and stuff like that. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining tonight. On a personal note, I'm a big fan of Doodles. I love how colorful they are, but I also love the mission behind the project. And I know that it's just exploded in popularity recently, just beyond the fact that you have so many different fans and from around the world, but also just the floor price and how much these NFTs are selling for. So I'd love to start off with a question for everyone. What do you think is so special about Doodles, and what do you think has made such a passionate following behind the project?
Yeah. Evan, you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll add my thoughts around it. I mean, when Jordan and I got together earlier on in this year, we decided we wanted to make a project that was community first. And, when we started sharing the project early on, I think, in addition to the art, it was kind of just the values that we set forth in the beginning. So, a large part of our success is just, uh, being able to have community members access, a treasury of funds and be able to create things. We have two successful derivative projects that are official called Noodles and Pukenza. And, people just love to be part of something where they can create an additional layer on the brand. So focusing on community first and foremost was, what really set us apart in the beginning. And I think just all the experiences we're creating to kind of help craft what Web3 culture is, not only digitally, but also physically in the real world, whether that be at, festivals or concert settings or, doing merchandise or installations all over the world. We really just want to create in the space, and I think people see that. But yeah, I'll let Poopy take it away from his perspective.
Yeah, no, just to add to that too, I think it's vibes and inclusivity. I mean, Burnt Toast completely killed it, in my opinion. And, when you look at the Doodles collection, you can see like such diverse characters that you'd want to make your own PFP or your forever PFP. So the art to me is like, the hook. The anchor is the community. And when we created, when we kicked it off, like we only had 1,000 people in our Discord, and now that number is like 20 something thousand. But a lot of our day ones are like, our biggest advocates, and they help spread, the culture of Doodles, and they help spread the vibes. So when new people join the Discord every day, like, they have OGs that they can, look towards, or they see how we celebrate creativity and how we like kind of ignore like floor-ish kind of talk in the Discord. But yeah, that's just my thoughts.
Awesome. Did anyone else have anything to add to that? Nice. Cool. I mean, I'd love to also kind of take it back. Obviously, Doodles have such a strong visual component to them. They're brightly colored. They're very fun. They're whimsical. So, how did that aesthetic come about? Maybe Burnt Toast can speak a little bit more about the design aspect.
Yeah, for sure. So I have some knowledge in iconography. I worked with a lot of big tech where we were always conscious of sort of visual density and how these drawings scale down and are legible at a small size. So I kept that in the back of my mind when I was asked to approach this PFP project, because a lot of times they're viewed at a very small size. And then the color palette is something that I've sort of been defining and redefining for the last decade, roughly. And I know people respond well to that color palette, so it was a no-brainer to use that. And yeah, and then also with the tech companies, we focused on appealing to a universal audience. So we threw that in the potion as well, and Doodles came out.
Awesome. Yeah, maybe I have a question for Todd, coming from more of the traditional art background. I've got questions about NFTs generally and the art world, but also specifically with Doodles. What is it about the Doodles project that kind of speaks to you as a more traditional art collector?
I mean, so for me, obviously, first and foremost, to hit what everyone said prior, the community was really what jumped out at me at first. Then I had a chance to dive into Scott's art and realize that, in the traditional art world, there's a lot of barriers to entry that, they don't necessarily look at digital artists as, real artists, or they don't look at street artists per se in the same vein. And when I looked at it, it really spoke to me and just created some sort of joy inside me as I continued to scroll through all the 10,000 PFPs. And so, like, I think there's definitely a crossover for Scott as a traditional artist. I mean, he painted the mural that they had in Miami himself. and he's a great painter. So we're in the talks of doing a few shows across the globe right now. As an artist, as a traditional artist.
Yeah, and so has the concept of art sort of changed as NFTs have become more popular, and sort of what does it mean to be, I guess, in air quotes, an artist nowadays?
I think the common denominator here is art, and there's a lot of discomfort with the NFTs and a lot of noise about blockchain and stuff, but ultimately this is just a new canvas for art, so it's not that big of a change for me.
If I can add one thing that's really interesting about the crossover is that there's a project that's being launched at the LACMA Museum on the 27th. It's called the Interscope 30 Project, where they had a bunch of, quote unquote, traditional artists re-envision album covers from the Interscope's 30-year catalog. And I'm talking about artists like Ed Ruscha, Takashi Murakami, Cause, Nina Chanel Abney. And Scott is actually in that show. So I think that the traditional art world is starting to accept this as a form of art, and they want to start to include, which is interesting.
Yeah, I've got a question for maybe Poopy and Evan can speak to this. How did you guys go from, I guess, having this concept, having this really art, this great art that resonates with people, to sort of creating a brand out of it? I want to sort of talk about branding in Web3 and how you kind of develop a brand for, the next stage of the internet.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Poopy can talk, more on some of the technical side of things, but I come from a traditional branding background. For CryptoKitties and Dapper Labs, like I really was trying to, educate and inspire people to get involved with NFTs. So, just coming from a background of like, how do we first educate and then onboard folks into crypto, into NFTs, into Web3, and we applied that to Doodles. So, basically in the very beginning, we had this great concept, great art, everything like that. But how do we take, NFTs and extend them into the real world? So we're really looking at Doodles as a global brand, that started with NFTs, but is much more than that. So, we look at a brand like Disney or Nike, and Disney got started in animation, Nike got started with merchandise, but we want to spread across a bunch of different verticals. And that's why, we're starting to bring on people like our advisors that are on this call, because we started in NFTs. We're not the experts across merchandise. We're not the experts across physical collectibles. We're not the experts across entertainment or, film and television, but those are our aspirations. And we do think that, Doodles is the brand to achieve great things across those different verticals. So really, brand building in Web3 is no different than brand building, in any vertical. It's essentially just building a good business and building a good brand. So that's the way we're approaching
it. Poopy, did you have anything to add?
No, I think that was great.
Great. Geronimo, since you're sort of on that side of things, did you have any thoughts on what Evan said?
Absolutely. Well, I think we're in an interesting place to start being a host. So bringing people into our events and into potentially merchandise and allowing them to take a bit of the experience that they have in Web3 into more of a physical space. So bringing them to a location, capturing their hearts and minds, and giving them a genuine experience is, our goal for any in real life experience that we give.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of want to zoom out again, and maybe I'll go back to Todd, because I have many questions about how art and NFTs sort of overlap. But I know that a lot of NFT projects, they're starting to sort of really inflate in value. Obviously, people at the beginning of what would a lot of people would call the NFT boom. What's kind of fueling this like hyperinflation of NFT value? And I guess from more of a traditional perspective, do you think that this value makes sense for NFTs, or is it just kind of hype at this stage?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily hype at this stage. I kind of, definitely don't think that's the case. I think what we're seeing is, a new collectible in a lot of cases come up. And what's interesting about these collectibles is they come with a community component that never existed before. So I think what we're seeing is, people on the lower end of the spectrum who might have been collectors of toys or prints and editions collecting NFTs on the lower side. And you're seeing from the traditional art world, buyers coming in now to purchase some of the larger pieces. But I think a lot of the real big ticket items are coming from crypto natives still at this point. That being said, during Basel, Miami, one of the biggest dealers in the world hosted a talk between Beeple and Peter Saul, who is, an 86-year-old artist who's, technically it would be like in the Hall of Fame of artists. So there's definitely a crossover, but I don't, in terms of the pricing, like I can't necessarily comment on that.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you think that we'll start to see Doodles auctioned off at, Christie's or at Sotheby's or, major art houses?
Me personally, I mean, I think without a doubt,
anyone really.
Yeah, I mean, I think auction houses are looking to find what they, auction houses for starters want to make money. They're looking to find what they perceive as blue chip, and the Doodles are definitely in conversation with, in quotes, blue chip NFTs. So yeah, I definitely could see that happening.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear from the Doodles team about any future plans. Do you have any events or activations or community building events that you have planned that you can tease for the audience?
Yeah, why don't we start with product teasers? I'll pass it over to Poopy, and then let's go into kind of the Doodles extended experience teasers, which is more of the live experiences, merchandise, collectibles, because I feel like we have a lot to leak. So let's do it.
Yes, we love that.
Thank you. I'll keep this one pretty light, but if you scroll over to the Doodles Twitter and you just look at our timeline, all those really rad spaceships, those are Space Doodles. So with Space Doodles, it's kind of like free DLC. So like in some games, when you buy a AAA game, they might gate some of the content behind a paywall, or quests or like expansion packs, etc. But like with Doodles, your Doodle is kind of your key to all the extended experiences that we're planning to build, or we're building with partners, etc. So Space Doodles is kind of like the first of its kind. Every Doodle in the collection will get its own spaceship. These are hand drawn by Burnt Toast. There's dozens of them. They're really rad, and Scott's take on the Doodles universe is insane. It's unique. Like just scroll through the timeline and you'll see like these aren't traditional spacecraft. It's the Space Doodle has a context. It has a mission. It's somewhere out in space in search of something. It may be the best at managing its bladder in its own spacecraft. It may be the best at mechanical knowledge. Like all of these traits or these stats are either represented in the visual of the Space Doodle or on-chain properties that can be used in future experiences. So we're really hyped about that. That's coming in February. Yeah, if you just take a look at the timeline, we've tweeted about it in the last couple of weeks.
Awesome. Do you have anything else to share about maybe physical collectibles or any events that you've got coming up, South by Southwest?
Yeah, physical collectibles is something that we're super focused on right now. We do have, a pre-sale date that's pretty locked in, but I'll pass it over to Burnt Toast and Todd because they're leading the charge on that one.
Scott, you want to go?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much we were supposed to say, but
it's up to your discretion.
We
yeah,
welcome
so
any new information.
yeah, we're working with SK, who is world-class product developer. He works with Cause. If anybody's seen that famous rubber ducky that travels around the world and visits major cities, he's responsible for that. Inflatables. We're focused right now on I think they're about 14-inch tall vinyl collectibles. We approved the 3D design this morning. We're getting 3D prints, and it's well underway, and it'll be here soon.
Very cool. Geronimo, I feel like you were going to say something before, and then we might have started talking over you. Sorry.
Oh, all good. Well, I can talk a little bit about physical items as well. We are really excited to have some merch. So we are designing a full collection. We'll have a pre-order sometime in February with a full reveal in March. And we're really excited about the people that we're bringing on to help us see this vision through, veterans in this space. We have a fashion line being designed by Easy Odebor of Infinite Archives. He's worked with Virgil Abloh and Travis Scott and so many other people in this space. As Bernd mentioned, we have a piece being designed by SK Lamb. So we're looking at these beautiful, cohesive, physical elements in addition to our experiencing in real life. So we are excited to be in Austin in March, and we can kind of tease out that information a little bit more, but we want everyone to be able to take away an experience physically, but also be there in the middle of the universe that we're creating for people to come and explore. So I don't know how much we're giving away on that, but stay tuned. We have a really exciting experience planned for Austin.
Awesome. I think there are a lot of Doodles fans on this call that are really excited to see what you guys have planned. And so am I. So that'll be awesome to see. Yeah, I guess I had kind of a wide net question that I'll open up for everyone, and then I might start taking some questions from some of the listeners. But do you guys have any advice to share for other creatives or artists that are really trying to break into the crypto or NFT space, kind of on how to design for Web3, or just how to sort of create your own successful brand in Web3?
I could speak from like a product lead sort of perspective. So what is Web3, right? I think that's the starting point of the question. And to me, Web3 is an ownership layer, a community layer that's added onto Web2, where a social media platform owns your data, owns your account, owns all the content you create. Web3 kind of inverts that and, gives more rights and ownership to the user. I think that you have to take that into consideration when you are building, when you are designing, utility airdrops for your collectors, etc. Our community has a stake in our project. They totally have a stake. The Doodle Bank is an example of that. It's us materializing it and making it real. When we launched the project, we committed to donating 420 or injecting 420 Ethereum into our treasury. That is, that's kind of that commitment and that understanding that we need community, we need stakeholders, we need that sort of ownership to be real. And that's why it's a huge part of our roadmap.
Yeah, Poopy, let me just add as well, it adds a layer of accountability. we're seeing this massive movement from, traditional creation in Web 2 to like, you can get paid instantly in Web 3. You're going to see a lot of projects from influencers and celebrities and, people getting into the space. But what the treasury component does is it actually sets aside, a project fund that is very transparent in how the funds are used. So it's kind of like an on-chain commitment to, continuing to build out the Doodles project. But that's very much on the product side of Web3. To extend Doodles into, what are we doing in the physical world, with all of this attention coming into the space, like we've kind of been put in a leadership position of, what does Web3 culture look like? And we just want to do what's right for the NFT community or for just the broader ecosystem of creators. So, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we feel like we have a lot of responsibility to build what's right for the whole ecosystem, which includes, every NFT project, not just Doodles, but that's really our ethos.
Yeah, and I guess speaking to like the wider NFT ecosystem, I guess there are just so many recent projects and community projects that have like exploded in the recent months. And talking about some of the things that you wanted to do to sort of change or to, I guess, better the NFT community as a whole. Are there some things that you'd like to see other brands do or other NFT projects do in order to sort of create this this wider, more equitable NFT space?
Yeah, I think as NFT projects grow in success, there is like a sort of end game that gets breached where the cost of one NFT in the collection of 10,000 is, Doodles level, Bored Apes level, etc. I think that like if you're really thinking about growing a brand, beyond 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 collectors, you need to think about accessibility. And like, let's be real, Doodle is 11 ETH. That's hugely inaccessible to a lot of people participating in the space right now. So like we have some ideas around how to equitably enable like a Doodles NFT at scale that rewards our own collectors, but that's like still under wraps. So I just think that thinking through accessibility, is important, and looking beyond the unique holders of your project and thinking about 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people who can't afford to spend that much on an NFT.
If I can just piggyback on that, I think that's why we're so excited about our penetration into the merchandise world, and to in real life events, having a space to bring people in to experience all that this NFT project has created, but to bring in the wider community into this into these events that we plan to have all around the globe. I think that is a way that people who aren't already in the NFT space, who are on the edge of the NFT space, or who just want to be part of the community, which is one of the best communities I've ever been part of. That's a place where we are trying to be extremely inclusive and supportive.
Yeah, I think on the last Hype Talks, I think we sort of we talked about how a lot of creators in the space want to make it more accessible for people. A lot of projects that have gained traction, the floor price is quite high, and I think that there's a general sentiment among a lot of really successful NFT projects is how can we expand this, and how can we bring more people into the fold, because ultimately you're building community, and there should be different ways for people to get involved, I think is the general sentiment that we've seen. Yeah, and I guess my last question before I open it up to some questions from listeners. When you think about Web3, this sort of this word that gets thrown around a lot, that's still sort of developing, what does the future of community look like in Web3?
That's a really good question. I think that in the last year, a lot of people in blockchain and Ethereum began really experimenting with coordination and like DAOs. For anyone that's not familiar, a DAO is like, a group of people that come together that share a certain thing in common and also have a vested stake in either a big pile of money or, a project. They're able to, create proposals and vote for what gets added to, this project or how that money is spent. That's the current version of it. I think that in the future, community will be a bit more decentralized. I think that more projects will experiment with allowing their communities to grow the ecosystem of experiences around, their brand or their project, or even like fund creatives who love to create GIFs or fan art for the community. I think that is a very, hard problem to solve. We're very early, like we're just one of many, NFT sort of community treasury / DAO projects. But I think their stake would be a little more materially true, like in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, awesome. Did anyone have anything else to add? Cool. we love a succinct answer that answers whatever is on everyone else's mind. Awesome. So yeah, I think we'll open it up to some of the listeners. If you guys have any questions, we'll start taking questions from the audience.
Let's hear it.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm kind of interested in NFTs. I'm actually from Egypt, and that kind of stuff's not really public knowledge by now in Egypt. But I'm very interested, and I want to join the community. I want to join the business in general. I've read a lot about NFTs the past few days, but still, I just feel like the community right now is very competitive, and I'm not a very social person on whatever social media or stuff like that. So I don't know how to get followers or have a brand name. So can you give me any kind of advice relating to this?
Hey, Medusa, really quickly, are you looking to just participate in the community? Are you looking to create NFTs?
Yes, I'm looking to create actually.
Okay.
I would suggest. I mean, this is so exciting, and this potential energy that I get to hear about every day with people just like you, Medusa. I think the first way to be involved is to see what's happening. So spend some time cruising different platforms and being on these talks just like this. To see what really hits your heart and what speaks to you as a consumer and what feels genuine. Those are the projects that I think will do well, and it speaks to why Doodles has done so well. It feels good. It's a great community. So as you start to kind of create the parameters of what you find and what you value, I think you're going to be able to support your vision more. And there's so many people in this community that are willing to talk it out with you and join some Discord channels. And I think you have a lot of people who would be very interested to know what your vision is.
I have a lot of visions, but I'm still I'm not I didn't decide which one to go with first. I'm interested more in like dark arts, if you can tell from my my picture and my account and stuff like that. So I'm interested in that kind of art, and I don't think I've seen a lot of NFTs with that kind of style. And I do believe some people there's a lot of audience for that kind of stuff. I can see that. But the only problem is from the information I've gotten the past few days is that people are saying you have to have like a brand name, you have to have like a lot of followers and stuff like that. And I'm not really a marketing person. I'm actually an architect, and I'm introverted and stuff like that. So I'm interested in art, very interested in art, but my problem is relating to marketing and stuff like that.
I might jump in. I think that there's a lot of people who really want to become involved in the space, but it feels like the entry point, especially for creators, is just so far away. I think that's a pretty common sentiment that we've heard from a lot of new creators. But I feel like Doodles is a great example of a project that stuck to a theme and build a community. And yeah, there's definitely a way forward. All right, who do we have next? Oh, sorry, Geronimo, did you want to add something?
Oh, I was just going to say that everyone is new to this. This is a brand new thing. So for anyone who is wondering how they can jump in, I mean, it's finding a style that's true to them. I think Doodles has done that really well. We were the first to have a very specific look, and for Medusa to find her community within that is just being true to her style, and that's currently maybe a very simple way to look at it, but I think that's how we build that, and you attract your audience. So I would say refine your craft, make a beautiful product, decide who you're serving with your art, and the people will follow that you want to follow. I really believe.
Totally, I absolutely agree. NittyB.eth, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to have the whole Doodle team. It's amazing to hear your thoughts. Also, just want to give a shout out to our entire Discord. The Doodle Discord is going nuts. They've asked me to say clout, so there it is. And I have a general question. How have you seen the adoption of NFTs? I mean, collectibles have been around for a long time. Trading cards, sneakers collection has been around. So, like, what about when it comes to NFTs? I know on like crypto Twitter, it's like easier to kind of like know, yes, there's like a cultural thing, but on Instagram, I'm seeing more and more celebrities and more people starting to have NFTs as their profile picture. So anybody, who kind of has experience with outside crypto Twitter, how's the reception been?
I guess I can answer that. Being in the traditional art world, I think I'm much more native to Instagram than I am to crypto Twitter, although I am on both. And I would say, I was talking to the team earlier today, the amount of posts that have grown just related to NFTs on Instagram over the past month, it feels like 100x to me. I'm not even talking about, the PFPs. And what I'm seeing is more traditional, hype beast. I'll give you guys a little plug. Like, the traditional hype beast fans are really kind of diving in right now into this space, and I think that they're a new collector and a new buying force and a wave that we kind of are just starting to experience.
Awesome. Yeah. Sujin, do you have oh, sorry, Geronimo, did you have something to add to that?
No, I'm so sorry.
You're all good. I just, I feel badly because I feel like you keep wanting to say something and then I keep pulling back. But if you do, just feel free to hop in. Sujin, did you have something to add to this discussion?
I do. I'm really enjoying it. Thanks to all the speakers. I would love to hear your thoughts just on what you think is the strongest tie of the community. I know that it is a word that's been said a lot. It is so important and one of the more valuable things that Doodles has brought to life. But do you find that it's like an aesthetic community where there are just people out there who love this specific style of art? Is it more like of a broad personality type? Would just love to hear sort of what you think really ties the community together. And then I guess a quick follow-on question to that is curious to hear your thoughts on whether you think your digital community is different from the folks who, for example, will come to the experiences that you host, or different from the folks who like buy your merch or buy physical versions of your art.
Yeah, let me address the first question about, how we kind of, was your question how we portray community, like what community means to us, or could you clarify the first question?
No, it's more objective, like curious, like what are the ties that you think make your community sort of connected? Is it straight out like just really loving the actual artwork, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a few factors. Like, I think in terms of profile photos or NFT projects, there's lots of options out there, and a lot of those options are really great options. They're great projects. They have IRL activations. They have, different experiences or merchandise. All the things that top NFT projects have managed to create. A lot of folks have told us that doodles feel very universal. There's a doodle for everyone. People are able to just connect with the art a little bit more than some of the other projects. And I think just the color palette and just the variability that we have, for sure, I think a lot of people can resonate with the art. I think the thing that the community resonates with the most, though, is that the founding team, the core team that we're building, and the community itself. We've all been in NFTs or in Web2 traditional verticals before, and all of this stuff is new, and we're all kind of pioneering it together, right? There's maybe 10 projects or so that are really pushing hard forward, and there's just that trust in that we're trying to create experiences that better the whole ecosystem. So I think people are just excited about how we approach the space. Our solution may not be the best solution, but we're trying to figure out the solution with everybody.
Awesome. Sujin, what was the second part of your question?
Oh, I was just curious if you think that the folks who are part of your digital community are the same people who will come to an IRL event, or who are the ones who buy the physical versions of your art. If that's like, if it all just crosses over, or if you're building actually new communities.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's some of the things we're talking about is, I think Doodles has the potential and is currently, in the midst of becoming a global brand. I mean, we have fans all over the world, our Twitter following, Discord fans, Instagram fans, and the people that show up to our live events. Not all of them are holders. So, there's a big desire to experience, the Doodleverse or whatever we create outside of just NFTs, which is why I approach it more as a brand that crosses over a bunch of different verticals, not only in the NFT world. So yeah, I think, with the party that we threw in Miami, we saw a lot of people that were just learning about NFTs, or wanted to come see an artist that we had booked for the show. Like, we're really just trying to create spaces for creators and technologists and builders and people from the merchandise world. We see it all coming together, and we're making sure, well, we're trying to make sure that everybody knows, how it's being approached at different levels. And, we're taking more of a grassroots approach, but other communities do different things, right? Like they'll partner up with an established brand or get a management company or an agent or, things like that. We're trying to do some different stuff. So yeah, we just want to build and create.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right, Degentraland, did you have a question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to speak with us. First, I just want to say, Evan, Poopy, Burnt, you guys are absolute visionaries in the space. And I think on behalf of the whole community, just want to thank you for how dedicated you guys have been to the project. So everyone who knows me knows that I am quite methodical about my investments. In fact, I've only invested heavily in 3 projects: Bored Ape Yacht Club, Doodles, and Decentraland. And I'm wondering, based on my investment strategy, which is more qualitative than anything, what is your 5 to 10 year vision for the project? I know Poopy commented on one of my threads about licensing, on-ramping. I would love for either him or Evan to speak a little bit about the future of the project.
Yeah, I'll take one quick stab at just the way that we're approaching, a 10,000 collectibles series and that extended, kind of free DLC component. Like we consider our original collection, the 10,000, like, what a doodle is. And there should be opportunities for those holders to, create prints, create toys, really be part of the brand. So that's something that we're focused on. And that's why we're not doing like a companion drop or a, mint something new. It's like, no, this is just DLC. Like you can just skin your in-game character per se. So like a Doodles gets a hat or a Doodles gets a new outfit, or there's so many ways that we can take this and not have to sell another NFT. Like our vision for NFT projects isn't just buying and selling NFTs, it's creating something so much more than that. So I think Poopy can talk a little bit more about that, but
yeah, I think, thanks, Evan. 5 to 10 year plan, like we're talking 1 hour to 100-hour conversations, right? These plans are created, these product strategies and visions are created over the span of months, really. But I could just quickly summarize it. Like within 5 years, like we definitely want to be the next Peanuts by Charles Schulz. And within 10 years, like we really want to be Disney, starting with, our inclusive, lovable characters. And that's, just think about, every vertical that they touch, every, how much joy they inspire. Like that's exactly where I really believe we're headed. Yep.
Very cool. Oh yeah, sorry, Geronimo, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're having the most fun because we're in this phase of just collecting our community, introducing this fun universe to and its growth to our existing community and outward, and inspiring people to make their own art and come together to create culture. We have this platform that is just only accelerating, and our goal is to be in every facet of culture. And so we want to do that the good old-fashioned way by creating really beautiful, inspirational art. And it comes back to Burnt Toast. Burnt, do you want to share with us, everyone, your ethos? Like the thing that drives your work forward is a simple thing. I think you can say it best.
No, I think you said it pretty well. Just inspiring people to create. And I want to give a shout out to everybody who's taken the doodles and put their own spin on it, and the muscly doodles and the dark mode doodles and everything. I just want to thank all you guys for resonating with my art and putting your own spin on it and celebrating it with me. It's out from under me now. It's everybody's art, and I'm just so happy to see it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely big fans of the project, and there's yeah, it's very cool. Jeffrey Chang, did you have a question?
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me on. This kind of bounces off the last question. Big fan of Doodles. So we were talking about earlier how NFTs is still very new to a lot of people here in the community, and we're hearing about these NFT projects for the first time. I feel like Doodles is pioneering a lot of that. And so I've been browsing other projects as well, and some are kind of creating their own spin and their own collections with similar designs to Doodles, and is also picking up a lot of traction and visibility. Might be a quick, tricky question, but I was just curious to know what's your thoughts on that, and if these other projects that have like similar designs causes any issues with your next steps. Are there any worry that it could cause confusion with the community, or is this ultimately a good thing that drives the NFT space?
Thanks for the question. It's a spectrum. You know, on one end, we have noodles that are reinterpreting our art in a very fun, like, and, you know, cup of noodle way. On the other end, you know, we have projects that just, you know, simply just copy the art. I think it's a bit frustrating, but it's also flattering. But the frustrating part is, you know, we don't know who the team is behind this. We don't know whether or not, you know, it can be a rug. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of creative derivatives that Scott was speaking to that we absolutely, you know, support. So it's a spectrum. We don't really have like a framework for deciding on this. But thank you for bringing it up, because it's definitely on our minds.
Gotcha. That answers the question. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, I think that kind of sums up this whole conversation. I want to thank the entire Doodles team, Todd for coming out and chatting with us. Definitely, if you guys haven't already followed these guys, you should absolutely do that. And we're all really excited to see what you guys have next, IRL, online. So thank you all again for joining, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Rosie. Thanks, Hypebeast.
No worries.
Thanks, Rosie.
All right. No problem. Bye.
Woohoo!